Hey, I'm Marvin Bowser. I'm the producer and photographer for BlackHair.
Hi, I'm Kenyattah Robinson, President and CEO of the Mount Vernon Triangle Community Improvement District, here today at World Class Cuts, 460 K Street Northwest in downtown DC.
Hi, I'm Tarji Irby, owner here at World Class Cuts, 460 K Street, second floor. Come on in anytime you're around the neighborhood and get your style right.
Good to see you. Good. Yeah, see your photos outside.
Been working hard.
Looking real nice, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, welcome to the Triangle.
Happy to be here. It's amazing how like the environment changes the perception of the work, right?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, how people interact with it.
Oh, you mean the fact that it's out in public
That's out in
space?
public space. Well, that and in the environment. I was here during one of those freezing sleet days, and there were like water droplets on the images.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. Like I didn't have words. I was just like standing there, just staring. And I was talking to somebody about it. It's like, did you take a picture of it? It's like, no. I was like, I was so caught up, I didn't even take a picture of it. So those fleeting moments are important.
That's right. It's like static and ethereal at the same time, right?
But yeah, it's because it's always, the light is always changing. The conditions are always changing outside. And so, one of the models took a picture of one of his images out there at night, which is also cool. Like I haven't been here in the night, so I had to do that.
So you're happy with the way it all came together?
I'm delighted.
Yeah.
Delighted. And I have to say, when we first met, it was at a book sign. It was like a year ago, I think. He said you had this outdoor gallery. I'm like, oh, okay. And you said you had a show there, but somewhere around the beginning of the year, there's the opportunity. I'm like, okay. So I looped back and came down to see because I still didn't understand. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, this could work, right?
Yes.
So
Just basically an outdoor photo gallery.
Outdoor photo gallery, and that had like 40 slots. And I had a show that had 41 images.
Right.
So that just fit.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
So which one didn't make the cut?
There's a piece called Blonde that didn't make the cut. And it's one of the last things I added it. So I just kept it easy. It's like, last one in, first one out. So,
Yeah, life up.
Yeah.
As accountants would say. So, have you ever done a photo show in an outdoor environment before?
Yes. I did a fantastic show called See Me, Hear Me, The Art of Living, which is a collection of 72 images of residents and staff, the people who care for the residents at Forest Hills of DC, a senior living home up on Connecticut Avenue. 72 inches, all 4 by 4 feet. So it's like, and again, it's something that you put together in your head, and it's just like, yeah, this is gonna be nice. But seeing it was just really, really beautiful, and the scale of it, because basically the building, it's on the facade of the building, which is about a city block long, and it's just. It pulls you in, it grabs you. You can't help but be interested in it. The residents loved it. The residents' families loved it. The staff loves it. The neighborhood loved it. And that's part of the reason the home wanted to do that one was, home's been there like 100 years, and people are in the neighborhood don't know what it is really. And they wanted to let people know what goes on there. They rely a lot on volunteers to come in and interact with the residents, and it would help with that. And it wanted to also celebrate the lives of the residents there. Like it's still, there's still like vibrant and funny, and dealing with aging for sure. But they're still people, and there's some really interesting people there. One of the residents is a foreigner photo editor for Life magazine.
Okay.
And I took her portrait and showed it to her, on the back of the camera. And she goes, that's the worst thing I've ever seen.
So those are photos of the actual resident
Oh, yeah,
that
100%.
are out there.
Yeah.
I've actually seen that. That's on my drive home.
Yeah.
And so that's your work up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And and I spent a few weeks there. So they got used to seeing me in their space. And I really wanted to capture, a spark of the person, not like the present condition, but really to take that a glimpse into who they are over the expanse of their lives. And I think it worked.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So the relationship between someone's private life and private activity in the public space, right? As an artist, it brings up a lot of sort of, questions or just, thoughtfulness around, the role of the artist, the responsibility, whose art is it, right? The person's depiction is now in a public space, but it's now being enjoyed by everyone, much like you did here with BlackHair, right? You had these moments that are typically in a photo gallery that are now able to be enjoyed by any passerby from, any city or country in the world as they're coming through here. So how do you feel about that in terms of the responsibility of the artist, in this case, you, the photographer, in taking those moments and putting it out there in the public square?
Wow, that's a great question. So first thing, See Me, Hear Me was by design a public art piece, right? So everything I did was with the intent that would be viewed in public space. BlackHair, not at all that. It was, intended by design to be gallery work, and that's what I mean. Just like flipping that switch and taking it outside and seeing how it worked out in the environment was really magic, and I think it works. And the color palette is vibrant. It's bright. We hung it in February where colors are more mute, so it really pops out there now. It will be interesting to see how that works in the spring. Right?
Yeah, as things begin to change a little bit, the weather gets a little warmer, more people out in the street checking it out. So what I find interesting about BlackHair is it's a mix, right? Some of the images are sort of contemporary, modern, and then some are more futuristic. So, talk to me about that and, how you lay out the show. The show's intended to be enjoyed, I think, starting here at 15K,
Right.
walk down through the alley. So talk a little bit about your thought process around the interplay between those two sort of time periods and colors.
Okay, so BlackHair is self-commissioned piece, so I could do with it what I wanted because I was paying for it. And I had several goals with it. I wanted to do something I hadn't done before. I wanted to be more open with my process, so I did everything. I did a lot of social media posting as I went. I did not have a prescribed notion of what the show would look like at the end. By intent, and my prior life, I was a program manager, assistant engineer, everything scheduled, right? So I wanted to be unscheduled with this. So the first thing that kicked the process off was develop a theme, right? So I wanted to do something positive that celebrated, uplifted Black people and Black culture. Sat with that for a while and tried a few themes within that superset. And when I landed on BlackHair, I had a visceral response to it. It really resonated with me in my being. And before jumping into that pool, though, I did some research to see who else was working in that space. And, I went to my favorite research tool, Instagram. And, thousands of people around the world are working in that space and they're doing amazing work. So I had to really bring it and put, my mark on it. So the first thing I did, the first shoot I did was a open model call that I shot in the Great Hall of Union Station in April 2023. And all kinds of people came out. We recorded what your BlackHair story is an interview format before I shot them. And I shot everybody who came out. And I got something beautiful from all those people, and those people from all walks of life. There's some models, but a lot of people who just came in. And from that shoot, hair artist Melanie Williams reached out to me. She said, "Oh, Marvin, I always wanted to do something like this." She does amazing work for the big fashion shows like New York Fashion Week and stuff like that. But it's all very, very temporary, right? So she wanted something that would last. So she was on board to work going forward. I knew the makeup artists already, Trayvon Green and Melanie introduced me to Grace Jabora Afari, who is a contemporary African jewelry designer. And so that became the team that worked on the Afrofuturistic looks. And we spent a lot of that summer designing that shoot. And that shoot happened in August 2023, and we bought in models to do that. So that's a long way to set up this, the predicate to answer your question. So again, I did content creation, 2 major shoots, a bunch of other shoots in between, including shoots from travel I did that year. And when it came down to curating the show, I kind of had a problem because I had, as you cited, contemporary looks of everyday people and these Afrofuturistic looks. So to make that work, I again, it took me a couple weeks to come up with an approach. The Afrofuturistic looks are very strong, have all kinds of character, so I created characters. I named them, and I wrote a short story called "Save the Queen." And with that, stories have a beginning, middle, and end. They have a conflict and all that. So then it's then it became fun. So I have the name. I know which ones come first, and then which ones come second. I know which ones are at the end. And rather than have two shows or part A or part B, I interleave the images so that people who really resonate, the story resonated with them. They'd have to go through the entire show to see how that comes out. But what happens in real life, people just enjoy the journey throughout the whole show with all 40 images. So when it came to curating the show here at the Photo Walk, as you said, it started at 5th and K, and if you only walk down K Street, you get a good piece of everything. If you only walk down one block of K Street, you get to understand what's going on. And if you make the turn on Fraser's Alley, there's just more, so you get deeper into it. So I think it's set up well for people who only see part of it, but anybody who wants to see the whole show can easily.
So where do I find that storage?
Marvin Bowser Photography. Marvin Bowser Photography and the BlackHair exhibit.
I'll have to check that out. It's its own little, those characters something that could be in Black Panther, right? Its own little narrative.
Yeah. So my big project for this year is to write that book. So, yeah.
Okay. All right, look forward to checking that out. And so we're having this conversation, the context matters, right? We talk about the context of the work, of the art out in the public space. But here we are in the barbershop.
Tarji's new location, World Class Cuts, 460 K Street Northwest. And so excited. He's going to continue to be here in the neighborhood as a Black-owned business, been in business for 30 years. So I'm excited to be here having this conversation. Tarji talks about the shop being like the Congress of the community, right? Where, people can come in, have a conversation, the conversation just flows, it's organic. And then people come in, they come out, and then the conversation just continues to evolve, right, throughout the day. And so what does it mean to you for us to be having this conversation in this context right now inside a Black barbershop here in Mount Vernon Triangle? It's a community, obviously, with a rich history, a vibrant present, and we believe a equally strong future. So what does all that mean to you in the context of BlackHair and this conversation we're having today?
I commend the brother's work. I've walked up and down the street just to grab coffee, see people from all walks of life just stop by and admire the work. And I'm in a place where that was a process to get there. So it's like everything that goes on in the barbershop creates that image, or the shop, creates that image. And a lot of times it's, small talk, clients become more than just clients, they're family. So, the barbershop itself has always been, in African-American culture, has been a place where people meet up, talk about social issues, lighthearted stuff around. This goes back to plantation days, and just the church and the barbershop or the hair salon or whatever. That's the place where people came to talk about these issues in our society, and it still goes on today. Meanwhile, we are creating 3D art, and the brother Bowser has captured that art and displayed it on our street in Mount Vernon Triangle for people to admire. You may not get a chance to come into World Class Cuts or other places in the neighborhood, and I appreciate the art. I sometimes marvel at it myself. Just coming back across the street, I'll take the long way just to see an image I may not have seen, or see it in a different light at night, or, in different times of the day. Let me sit you up a bit. But yeah, man, it's a great exhibit, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah. So you've been in business for 30 years, and
Yes, sir.
You've seen a lot of
You started when he was 2.
That'll be the story. We'll stick to it. But you've seen a lot of change. And, I like to talk about the Triangle as being a neighborhood with, a rich past, rich history, a vibrant present, and equally exciting future. So, the context of you doing business and seeing change and, seeing, new clientele throughout the years. Talk to us a little bit about that. Just being a business owner of color here in the neighborhood in Mount Vernon Triangle, and how have you reflected that change, and what does all that change mean to you?
Oh man, I feel like I'm a big part of the change. I came here in this neighborhood, it was nothing but parking lots, remnants of years and years,
68 riots.
68 riots, and just, crack era poverty. The city was different back then. So I got a chance to start a business at an early age. I was 27, and I was looking for a space, and I looked out here, and I was like, the space will fit what I'm trying to do, but I don't know about the neighborhood. And I think who was the mayor back then? Anthony Williams had just left. Fenty was coming there. Yeah. So I noticed, listening in the barbershop, what I'm saying? We get a lot of information. So, I noticed that they were going to develop this area. So I said, let me try to get in now. And over the years, I've seen changes. I was in the second floor just like this, and I had a great point of view right there on 4th and K, where the Holiday Inn is now, where my building was. And I could see the changes every day. And, I go by 3 months, like, whoa. And next thing you know, this block was completely different. I still have pictures of it. I'll show you guys one
I'd
day.
love to see those.
It was amazing.
And maybe we'll put those in the photo walk. Have you? Mount Vernon Triangle, then and now.
That would be good.
Yeah, when I moved into the neighborhood in 2007, same experience. I went from trailer to trailer, where the Kansas City Vista is, went to a sales trailer, where I bought my condo, sales trailer, and I told my mom that I had just bought a condo back in 2007, and she was coming up here to DC a lot for work, and it used to be called the Chester Arthur Building, but she would have to come to Washington, and she said, 4th and I, she goes, that's right down the street from the cab, the Chester Arthur Building. She goes, that's a rough neighborhood. And I told her, I said, nah, Mom, it's coming up. And when I talked to a Washington Post reporter about that experience, that's what they quoted. Me telling my mom it's coming up. And so, I was here too on the front end of a lot of that change. Yeah. And the neighborhood continues to evolve, right? It's represented by your new location here in this space on K Street. So talk to us a little bit about that. This is now your third location in the neighborhood.
Yeah, so this is my third location. I love the neighborhood. Like I said, when I came here, it was parking lots, prostitution, just, everything that you didn't want in a community. You know what I mean? And as the workers came in, the area started to clean up, and I saw the change and I saw the dedication in the residents, you know what I'm saying, along with the city putting more resources here, and moved a lot of the, unsavory activity out, and it felt like I was a part of it. So I want to continue to be a part of it. You know what I mean? I want to be here. This is home. This is my family. I walk up and down the block. Everybody knows my name. We give each other quick handshake and keep it moving on to our little daily activities. You know what I'm saying? It feels good. It feels like home. You know what I mean? So it's a great neighborhood. And I love being a part of it.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're here. And we're glad to be here, chopping it up in the shop, as it were, and having this conversation about this work. So I think one of my favorite pieces. Now, let me ask you first, do you have a favorite? And I'll get into one of my favorite pieces.
Actually, so, Unbreakable is my favorite piece. So Unbreakable is an image taken from behind the model. So it captures the back of her head and her shoulders. And as I mentioned that I did curation and content creation for 6 months, and without deciding what would be in the show. And people knew I was working on it. And they'd ask me, they'd say to me, I can't wait to see what the show looks like. And I'm like, I can't either, because I don't know. But I kept saying, or then in the back of my mind, it's like, well, it's not going to be a show of a picture of a bunch of hair. And my favorite piece is a portrait of her hair. And I love it, because when I talk about it, that piece, I ask, who is this person? What are they doing? What did they just do? And like, why? And the answers are amazing. What I get from it. So it does what art should do. It's provocative. It engages people. It inspires things, and it's like the opposite of what I expected to create for the show. And it just works so well. So that's my favorite piece.
I'll tell you my favorite, and you and I have talked about this. It's actually called Fall Free, right? And when I saw it initially, my mind, because of the image itself, just told me it actually said free fall, right? In that moment when I saw it and realized what it actually said, it was both... it gave me this emotion, because it was like, you realize the limitations of your own mindset when you see something and associate a word pattern with it. Yet at the same time, it became very liberating. And you're walking me through the creation of that photo and actually how it came to be. And your creative process was fascinating. And so I would say, of the 40, that's probably my favorite is Fall Free.
because of the intense emotional connection I had with it.
Right. All good words. Intense emotional connection. All good words.
Yeah.
So when did you see when did you realize what the true title was?
I think when we were going through the process of some editing,
Oh, that's right.
the final approvals, and it may have also been when I saw it at Woolly Mammoth in person, and saw it in its original scale.
Right.
And I realized that was the actual title was
Right.
Fall Free and not Free Fall.
Right.
And there's just something that he said about, free fall, you're out of control, other forces are taking control of you. Fall free sort of symbolizes to me freedom.
Right.
Right. And so you have control over your own destiny. And I think that's why it was such a powerful juxtaposition of words.
So, well, thank you for that. And it's just, I think that experience goes to show that, seeing things on a computer or your phone as it's nice, but to actually get the real gravity of the piece, go see it in person.
Yeah, for sure. So looking good, my man. Yeah, good job, Tarji.
So, I moved to DC, and after I graduated from college, and I'd done some internships up here when I was in college, on Capitol Hill and at the White House and whatnot. And when I came to DC, I was sort of one of those typical sort of transient, DC residents, right?
Right.
And then, once I established more of a foundation here, and became more embedded in sort of the day-to-day work of the city, through the work that I do now, and started to get to know people like you guys, who are native Washingtonians. I'm talking generations.
Right.
And now in my social circle, it's not uncommon for me to be friends with someone like Monty Minash, who's a 4th generation Washingtonian, or, someone else who's a 5th generation Washingtonian. And they do talk about being a native Washingtonian like it's a badge of honor, right?
Yeah.
And
Because of it.
yeah, and it definitely, and I, find like the richness of those conversations and those experiences, really helps establish my foundations and my roots here.
It's an appreciation of it, and acknowledgement first, and then appreciation of it, which is huge. And a lot of people who come here for whatever reason don't dial into that. So the acknowledgement and appreciation that you're coming into, someone's home, right? Home for generations, and have that kind of respect. And you get a nerve with that, because it's it's almost like what's going on now with like disrespecting people in government service, with not appreciating all the work and blood, sweat, and tears that goes into that sort of thing. I explain Washington. I say there are 3 Washingtons. There's the international Washington, the federal government Washington, and local Washington, where the Washingtonians live. And a lot of times there's no mixing between those systems, but there's richness and benefit to mixing and crossing, having these interconnections that there's just so rewarding. Like when you take the time to do it, like slow down, meet your neighbor, get to know your neighbor. There's only benefit there.
Yeah, being from New Orleans and now living in Washington, I see a lot of parallels, because being from New Orleans, up here, people always ask, how was it like growing up in New Orleans? And I was like, I grew up in a regular neighborhood. All they think of is Bourbon Street, right? And I'm like, I grew up in a regular neighborhood, went to schools nowhere near there, and we knew Bourbon Street was down there. Maybe I hung out there when I was in my teens, and I probably shouldn't have been, but it was there. And now whenever I travel down in New Orleans and they say, how's Washington? I'm like, what do you mean? And what they mean is, the politics.
Right.
And it's like, well, I live in a everyday neighborhood, and you could live your entire life in Washington and not, really kind of deal with all that, right? Because you're doing, your everyday things. And so people have this association that Washington is, just about the capital, and is so much more. It's a city of 700,000 people, who are doing things like, cutting hair or photography,
Right.
and outside of that political realm.
Right.
A lot of my friends are from New Orleans, and you guys are very similar to us Washingtonians. you have your own brand of music, which we have our own brand of
Bounce, go.
You know what I'm saying? You love seafood just like we love seafood. You know what I'm saying? It's about family. You know what I mean? So
Well, there's definitely a pipeline between Louisiana and DC. I have a lot of friends. There's a Mardi Gras event now, Crew of Pyros, that is now in the convention center. Angie Gates, who's from down my way, she's now taking that on and is hosting it. And so, and then there's Washington Mardi Gras as well, that's thrown by the congressional delegation. So that also happens. And so, strong relationship. I think it's because of the politics, our affinity for it over the years. And I'll say another strong relationship between Louisiana and DC is the quarterback for the Commanders, my man Jaden Daniels, LSU grad, LSU alum like me. So big fan of what Jaden's doing here for the Commanders. It reminds me a lot of what's happening with the Commanders right now, where there's been sort of a change in ownership and in leadership of the coaching and a transformational player. Reminds me a lot of what happened in New Orleans after Katrina, right? And we got a new head coach and Sean Payton, a new quarterback, and Drew Brees. And I tell people all the time, I see a lot of parallels between what's happening here and what happened in New Orleans. And 4 years later, they won a Super Bowl. So I think the city and the organization, and the promise of a new stadium in Washington D.C. I think there's a lot to look forward to. And, I think the sports, like New Orleans, we have 2 professional sports franchises now. We have the basketball team and a football team. But really, New Orleans is a Saints town, right? That is the ethos of that city. We live, breathe, die, New Orleans Saints. And I think with the Commanders as well, it could really uplift, the city. It gives you sort of a esprit de corps and a civic pride. By having a winning professional football team, and I'm really excited to see what happens next.
And it'll be a full circle moment for me if they come back to DC. I grew up in the neighborhood, East Capitol Street, right there. Went to highs in Eastern High School, so my first job was at RFK Stadium. You know what I mean? Selling hot dogs and sodas.
Just like me, one of my first jobs was in the Superdome.
Really?
I was at the game when Chris Webber called the timeout, the infamous timeout. I was at that game. I was selling snacks. I was selling concessions.
Yeah. I was there during the glory years, man. And, John Riggins, everybody would be on the sidelines, He'd have his fourth quarter beverage. You know what I'm saying?
things were different then, right?
Yeah, but the game was well in hand. You know what I mean? So we were handling business back then. So, it'll be funny to get that energy back into the city, you know what I'm saying? Bring a lot of jobs and everything. Yeah, so
well,
I'm hopeful.
When the Nationals won the World Series and the Caps won the Stanley Cup, I mean, that was a great time to be alive in Washington D.C. Just the energy. I was at those celebrations, those parades,
And it wasn't any us and them, it's us. It was all us.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. And so definitely.
Sports is one of those things that bring people together from all walks of life. People that you would walk past on the street, not say anything to. If you go to a game, tailgate, they'll offer you a beverage or a hot dog or something off the grill, and everything is just, we're unified.
Yep.
It gives us promise of what the world could be.
So some of your comrades are Cowboys fans. What can we do to, change that situation? We got a lot of Cowboys fans up here in D.C.
Right. You just got to pray for them. It's just Dick Broder.
Yeah.
Dr. Fauci, can you get a vaccine for that?
Yeah. There's something seriously wrong with that. So you're gonna be here in Washington. You gotta root for the home team.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, well, I tell you what, I'd much rather be a Commanders fan right now than a Cowboys fan. So, yeah, 100%. So,
Applications are open right now.